Bigfoot, I don't care about you. Bigfoot, I hardly think about you. You usually are the last thing on my mind. Till some stupid late night TV show comes on and just makes me laugh.
I love that.
Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send you that entire song. This is a personal friend of ours who is very major here in our area, but he was a what would you say, in the 90s or somewhere in there. He was semi-famous in Nashville. He had cut some records and he was on the top charts. His band was BR549. That's not what it is now, but I will send just because we're friends anyway.
You know, that BR549 sounds so daggone familiar for me.
It was Junior Samples normally did that, sell the used cars, and BR549 is the
okay.
Yeah,
there you go. Thank you for connecting the dots, because that would have just driven me friggin' insane for a couple of days.
We got shout outs right now. We've got Angel Nolan, Dave Green, Gary Johnson, Brian and Chewy Go Hiking. These are some of my favorite people, man. We've got Donald Fuller, and I'm sure that more people are going to come. Jeff G, good to see you guys. My Eyes, one of my favorite ladies. She offered to be bait while I cooked for the camp. So I was happy about that.
Sounds like a plan.
I want everybody to sit back, put their seatbelts on, because I invited this man because he's a ton of fun and good old Lockbeard. This is a guy, good Lockbeard. Good to have you here tonight. I would like to introduce you to the great Reverend Two Gun Kelley.
Hello, everybody. Esquire. That's right.
He's got a bitchy ass That means he's rich as a mutt. You know what?
Actually, Esquire is a finishing term usually used in Britain for people who are douchebags, which is exactly why I did it. So Americans use it, Esquire, as ESQ is an abbreviation for somebody who might be a lawyer. So that's really why I added it to my title, simply because if they think I'm a lawyer, they won't be stupid. You know, if they think they're going to get sued, they'll probably leave you alone. So if you're going to be able to represent yourself in court, I once had a judge tell me, a man who represents himself in court has a fool for a client. I said, yeah, but it's better than an idiot for a lawyer.
Okay.
He agreed with me, and we continued on, and I won the case. So, I would rather not have an idiot public defender. All right. I've got 3 college degrees. I got an IQ of 136. Please tell me what a public defender is going to be able to investigate that I can't figure out before court time. I might not have been the most upstanding citizen, but that's because this world has forced me to become an outlaw most of my life, mostly to take care of my mental illness. I've used cannabis since I was 15 years old on a daily basis because of mental illness. Very simple. I have severe, horrible depression. I come from a family who suffers from that as well. My mother was institutionalized 2 or 3 times. I didn't really know my father, but he was a crazy, depressive bastard too. So, that's what I did. I had to become an outlaw. I've been growing since, I was 18 at a time that would get you federal jail time, and so I don't have time to beat around the bush. And, outlaws don't ask permission. They say, I'm sorry every once in a while, but they usually don't mean it.
Well, I'm happy to have you, Jeff. Honestly, I've been watching you for years. I've always loved your straightforward approach, and you have the same attitude as I do. Is what, if you don't want to listen to me or you don't believe what I'm saying, I don't give a shit. And there's a button that goes unlike or whatever, but most of the time people like a good. I think you're very entertaining. I love to hear the way you've been around and people and stuff. So that's
never meet your heroes though, because they'll let you down every time.
That's I said something about that very recently.
That really is the long and the short of it. Don't go meet your Bigfoot heroes. Don't go on expeditions with them. Don't go into the woods and don't do it. Do it with your friends that you like, Don't do it with the people that you idolize, because they will let you down every single time. There's one dude in this world that I have gone squatching with personally, who has far exceeded the expectations that I ever had of the man, and that was Kelley of the Bluff Creek Project. I mean, the dude's a naturalist, he's a historian, he's a woodsman, he's a Bigfooter. He's what he does is he finds film locations for Humboldt County and Del Norte County in the north of California, and he leads people out. Like, he can literally take you to where they filmed the Star Wars episode with the speeder bikes that got knocked over in the redwoods, because that stump is still there. You know, they got permission to move this stump into a certain location, and they never moved it again. They weren't allowed to move it back. They were only allowed to move it once. You know, that was the only way they had the permit for it. But yeah, you can come squatching with me, because I've never really tried to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. You're right. I was watching TV, and yesterday, I guess it was, and there was a report on primetime on Fox News. Now, yeah, you can poo-poo me for watching Fox News, but I do it more for the entertainment value than
I just was watching it before we got started.
On the Jesse Waters show.
Love him.
Him
and Gutfield. I love him.
Brought on this lady who was virtually raped in the new Facebook VR world. And she allowed herself to be harassed and bullied and pushed into the corner and made to feel as though she was digitally raped in Zuckerberg's new Facebook world. And I thought to myself, honey, you know how you stop a virtual rape? You take the VR glasses off. What's wrong with you people? If you don't want to get bullied in VR world, push the off button. That's what it's there for. Change this channel. It's like Howard Stern needs to be off the air. No, I loved Howard Stern. I was there when he was in Virginia in the little tiny friggin' broadcast studio that they were in Northern Virginia. Way, way, way back in the day when he sucked. He was still funny. Hey, mister, I know you want in on the conversation, but shut it.
Is that
it's a macaw.
Macaw?
It's a ruby macaw. And yeah. He's his name is Seamus Patches O'Houlihan.
Named after the good nurse, or
no, named after the crippled wheelchair guy in Dodgeball.
Oh yeah. Okay.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Crazy ass Rip Torn. I mean, seriously, if you're gonna change your name for Hollywood to something, Rip Torn has to be like the perfect.
I've been a big fan of his forever, boy.
What happened to you there, Rip? Well, I got torn.
Yeah. So, Jeff, how long you been doing this?
Podcasting or Bigfooting?
Well, either one. Either one.
I mean, I've been into Bigfoot since I was just a little fella. We lived in Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, which is outside of Pittsburgh in the mountains, and actually Cambria County, Allegheny County, Evansburg County. Altoona is where the is a big name people know. Bedford's a name big. Johnstown, where the floods happened in the 70s. That's where I come from. So weird shit that goes bump in the night goes on a lot out there. And I grew up working family farms, and I do mean working family farms. We had crops, we had animals, somebody asked me in a group the other day, I was defending, people eating cows, and they were like, well, when was the last time you killed a steer? I was like, well, it was 1992 when I was home for the family reunion, and we cut and gutted a bull right there in the yard, so yeah, I mean, we've done that. But there were the big farm was down in the center at my Uncle Vincent's place, and twice a year we weren't allowed to go to the back 80 pastures. Uncle Vincent would go out there and he would shut all the gates and he would lock them all up. And, the cows wouldn't go out there. The horses wouldn't go out there. The kids were told to stay out of there, even though that was the best damn swimming hole. We weren't allowed to go down in there because it's something spooked the animals twice a year, once in the springtime, once in the fall time. And, it had this awful, god awful stink to it. Now, all animals stink. I know what a bear smells like. I know when a bear's coming. I know when I'm coming up on a rattlesnake den because I know what rattlesnakes smell like. I know what a herd of deer smell like. I know what a herd of deer smelt like as they've left it behind as well. Animals stink, but this was the type of stink that nobody could really. It was like wet garbage and wet dog mixed with 3-day-old baby poop. I mean, it was just that pungent of a stink. And none of the animals wanted down in there. You couldn't get the cows back out if they got down in there and got trapped between this smell and the farm. I mean, it was a serious thing. At about 9, my grandfather, who was a moonshiner, looked over at me and said, "Well, Jeffrey, you know what a Bigfoot is?" Now, this is, weird ass conversation to have with grandpa in 4th grade, but that's what we were actually going up to the side of the mountain to get water right out of the rock. They went up there and knocked the pipe into the spring, and everybody just goes up there and fills up their jugs of water and brings them home to the city, because who's going to buy water? That's just stupid. And city water sucks. So we have this conversation about Bigfoot, and I in school I had looked at the books. I had seen the Patterson Gimlin picture in a book, and the Shepton photo of the Yeti toe thing, whatever that is, in the Himalayas. And but I'd never really seen anything. He said, "Well, let me tell you, they're around, son." He said, he told me the story of it. Something ran in front of his truck on his way up to his still, and then he didn't see it again. And as the night went on, something just kept throwing all his old pieces of still back into his area at him. Just was stomping around the area and just throwing shit at him. And then a big old thump keg. I don't know if you know anything about moonshining, but basically a big wooden barrel. They run the copper pipes down through that to help cool it so that it condenses and comes out the pipe. Anyhow, those things get waterlogged after a while and they become unusable. So you get a new one, and well, you can't just take your old one back to town because people know what that is. Yeah. So it just ends up laying around your still area out there. And one of those things came flying into camp and broke next to his eating fire, his barbecuing fire. And he said he never saw it. He grabbed his rifle. He kind of backed up against the still and just kind of sat there in the firelight the rest of the night, and nothing happened. He packed up. He was leaving the next day anyhow. When he came back to his still, there was a handprint. He was a big man. He was 6'2", 6'3", rock worker. I don't know, from the 60s, driving big rock trucks that don't have power steering, He was a big man, and he said that his hand, it made him look like a child. Something had pushed down on his copper pot hood and left an impression of a hand. And it was so big that it made his hand feel like it was a child's hand inside of it.
Wow.
So yeah, I've been a understandment that, not everything is in the record books yet, since I was a little kid.
I agree. Hey, I'd like to shout out to Howler. Good to have you here, buddy. And we still got more people coming in, so I really appreciate the support from the fans in the chat. These are good people. Very Uncle Bones too. Good to have you here, buddy. This is one of the guys I have been a fan of Jeff's for so long. I watched you way back when you had to co-host and all that stuff. I just sit there on my computer and
I miss David. I do. I really do miss David. I mean, to tell you the truth, no one really knows what really happened there. I didn't disclose it, and I didn't really feel the need to disclose it, but we had a falling out politically over politics.
Yeah,
is what that really was. He couldn't believe that I didn't think the world was going to end when Trump got elected. And he let it get between us, and he let himself get offended by some of the things I would post or say. He couldn't keep a divide between that and Bigfoot. I mean, we would have after hangouts with people, and back when Google Hangout actually used to exist, and sometimes it would come up, and I would say my opinion, and he just would lose his ever-loving mind. And it was just like, well, I'm sorry that there's no seat for me at your table, but you'll always have a seat at mine.
Donald Fuller, shout out to you, my brother. I thought I already did it. Donald Fuller's he's the guy that takes care of the bad guys in the chat. He boots them.
He's got the wrench. Yeah, that's what Rodney Dupree is in my hangout. Yeah, he's him and Dean swing the tools around that joint for sure.
Yeah,
But
honestly, Rev, I lost quite a few friends. Some of them that I'd actually been, personal teenage friends, and I mean, people that we may have been apart for many years, but we're reconnected, and
right.
I just couldn't believe some of the foolishness that I had seen, and but I wasn't willing to let go. I even told the one guy he was our pastor's son, which I don't do the church thing anymore. But when we were
I was
growing
the
up,
same way as you. Don't worry, I get
he
you.
was the pastor's son, and now he's completely like a Buddhist. He's no longer a Baptist, but he's also a psychiatrist. And
he went from a Baptist to a Buddhist psychiatrist.
yeah,
Wow, that's like about as extreme as you can get away from Christianity. That is for sure. And by the way, I'm not that kind of reverend.
I know. And hey, Mr. Fang, this is the first time we've seen Mr. Fang 3333333.
Yeah, Mr.
You're
Fang,
welcome in, buddy.
33333. Yeah, man.
It's funny is at one point I said, look, Phil, or I'm not gonna say his name, but
Yeah, whatever, dude.
It's not as important to me that I'm a follower of Donald. I'm not a follower. I hate that word follower.
Yeah.
I just supported Donald Trump because I saw what truth was. And
I didn't have a choice. You wanted me to elect Hillary Clinton. That's the only reason I elected Donald Trump. You didn't give me a choice. I didn't want Donald Trump as my friggin' president. I still don't want. I've already said I'm a registered Republican. I'll say it out loud. You know what? If the GOP picks Donald Trump to be their run for the next president again, I will give up my Republican tag. You people are nuts. I mean, that man is a piece of crap, but he was the least problematic piece of crap at the time. That was.
But we're gonna go back to Bigfoot. Okay.
Oh God, Bigfooting! Yay!
So you were telling me when we were having private conversations.
Oh, good Lord! Now you're gonna bring up shit I told you in private, man. That's
brave.
Right on.
What was that you said? Something not 18 inches or no?
That's why they call me Two Gun.
Yeah. But we were talking about you said that you had a story about Bigfoot that had to do with cooking too.
Hi, Nikki.
Hey, Nikki Poo.
Yeah, I used to barbecue meat all the time, purposely to bring in Bigfoot. When I was working the forest, the Ocala National Forest in Florida. I lived there, and I lived 40 minutes from the forest, from the edge of the forest. And really, once you get into the edge of the forest, there ain't anybody. I mean, there's a few farms, fathered in, and there's a couple of mobile home instances back there, but not by much. That's right. I'm wide fucking earth, bitch.
Two squirt gun, Kelley.
So when I would go back, I would dig out a fire pit because in Florida, there really aren't enough rocks to build a pit with because it's ridiculous. But yeah, I'd dig out a fire pit and then I would go and find a big old flat rock somewhere and I'd lay it right in the middle of that fire pit. And I would actually lay a piece of flank, I'd lay a piece of rib out there and just let it sit there and smolder on the coals and just put that cooking meat smell on the wind, hoping that it would bring in Sasquatch. I had plenty of pretty close encounters. I wouldn't see any direct sightings, but one day I had something that just didn't want to leave me alone. It was here, it was there, but it was just out of sight. It was just kind of like it would smack a tree and run away. I mean, these are palm trees. These things are heavy, thick. They weigh a freaking ton. They don't move very easily unless they're up in the wind swaying. But when something hits them at the base, they don't really do much. And this thing was like rattling a tree, and you hear. So I'd pick up a big old pine cone because all them damn scrub pines down there. They're just the shittiest pine trees on the friggin' planet. I don't know why they were ever put there because they were. I picked up a pine cone and I flung it out on my campsite. And I was like, here, bitch. Well, like 10 minutes later, I noticed that pine cone laying back over by my fire again. I didn't see it come in, but it wasn't there. And it didn't fall out of a tree because I don't build a fire pit under a tree because I'm not mentally deficient. So it's like a mentally deficient jackass trying to hump a doorknob. That just doesn't sound the same. So I broke the fins off of one side of it, the notches off of one side of it, and I flung it back out. I'm like, here, bitch. I wanted to be sure if a pine cone came back into camp again, that it was the one I threw out there. This time it came right the hell back in. So somebody was playing catch with me. Oh yeah, it was. I must have almost hit him with it. He probably went like, "What the hell? What's wrong with you?" You know, I mean, and it came in like a missile. It came in like, friggin' Tom Brady with a deflated football.
Yeah, my eyes said if you didn't throw poop, you could have been killed.
Hey, you know what? I've had poop thrown at me as well. So yeah, but that wasn't a Bigfoot. That was a skunk ape. Florida's a weird place because it's not really like below the panhandle is one thing, and above the panhandle is something else. Okay, so like you get down below the Ocala National Forest, Lake Okeechobee, the Sawgrass Expressway, down there in the swamps of Florida. There is the skunk ape. And the skunk ape is not a Bigfoot. It's not a Bigfoot. It's not. They're never reported to be 8-footers. They're never reported to be, they don't even have the kind of movements that Sasquatch have. They are skunk ape in their own realm. And the thing that I saw, we were fishing along Lake Okeechobee on some of the back abandoned canals where there are no houses. It's all swampy back there. It's wild. There's cougars back there. I mean, there's all kind of shit back there. And something was following along the canal line as we're out there fishing. Now we're in a bass boat with an electric trolling motor, just slinging lures. I mean, we were being as quiet as we could be. And you could just hear this thing just whooping and hooping. And I'm like, man, somebody done lost an orangutan or something back here. Jesus Christ. The trees would swing as it was moving around. And as we came across a blind corner, there sitting behind a palm frond was, I know everybody's seen the Florida skunk ape picture where that thing kind of hunches down. It was very, very much like that. But dude was in the middle of deucing, taking a big old crap. And he stood up, turned around and grabbed the big old scoop of it and flung it at us, and you could smell it in the air because the wind was coming. We were downwind from this thing, and before I could even really get a good look at what it was, I was on the front of the boat. I had to hang on to the seat because homeboy had the throttle nailed, the big motor down and gone before I could tell him I need to go back and look for tracks, and that's when I was in my late 20s. When I had an idea of how to investigate these things, I'd already been looking for Sasquatch in Ocala for a long period of time. But this thing, it stood up and just marched away into the swamp. It didn't, monkey away into the swamp. It wasn't none of that stuff. It literally just walked off. 5-6 foot tall, orange red like an orangutan, had kind of purplish orange hair down longer on its shoulder. Nothing was braided. MK Davis. He didn't have a ponytail.
Yeah.
But he was mad that he saw us taking a crap and literally like flung a giant handful of skunk ape poop at us, which I wish would have landed in the boat because I would have collected some of it when we got back to the dock. But truth be told, there isn't very much DNA in poop of the animal that pooped it. The poop is full of whatever the animal ate. The only time you really get DNA out of poop, and I know we're talking barbecue, but is literally the skin cells at the beginning of the end of a pinch. That's literally the only place that you're going to find skin cells in poop. So stop playing in poop.
No Dairy Queening the poop.
Yeah, don't Dairy Queen the poop. Well, I mean, most of them look like giant bear traps. So, there really isn't a whole lot of pinching going on in a giant bear trap.
It's weird. I you
I left him speechless. Look at him.
That Sherlock Holmes thing you got going there with your.
Oh yeah. That's my medication. 24/7. That's California Blue Dream tonight.
No shit. There you go, man. This This is called bourbon.
Yeah, I have what they call cirrhosis of the liver, so I can't drink alcohol. But I never was a drunk. My liver went bad from acetaminophen use, Tylenol. If you don't need it, don't take it. If you need it 3 times a day, please see a doctor, because that's what I did to myself. I lived on acetaminophen instead of opium. I didn't want to go get on pain therapy and all that crap for my back. So what did I do? I took acetaminophen because it's over the counter. It can't hurt you, right? Wrong. It'll ruin your liver. It'll ruin your kidneys. It'll ruin your spleen, and then you die. So stop using it. Use it when you need something, not because you have a little headache. Let the headache ride. It's going to go away. You know, I'm sorry, but people aren't really told how dangerous over-the-counter medication really is. There's like, I can't take my over-the-counter antacid at the same time that I take my that I was taking my antibiotics, because the magnesium in the antacid actually interacts with the antibiotic and renders the antibiotic useless. So what do you do if you have to take an antibiotic and you've got severe GERD like me? You pray.
Yeah.
You know, you pray it's a good day. I don't know. I mean, just so be careful. But yeah, no, I have no problem with drinkers. I love drink. I always thought it was funny that people would accept a fifth of Jack Daniels in a glass on a bar, but couldn't accept a bong on the same bar. It's like, why is a bong more offensive to you than that bottle of booze is? I don't understand it. No one's asking you to smoke the bong. It's just mine. And I literally went, and where this ties into Bigfoot is I've literally been on Bigfoot with law enforcement people. Now, since I've been in California, I've had a med card. Okay, so it's been legal for me since I moved out here. But I've actually had people on Bigfoot trips with law enforcement that demanded to see my med card before they would allow me to medicate at 8,000 feet in the Sierras. And it was like, well, you're not on duty, so you don't get shit. And if you touch me, they're going to find you at 8,000 feet in the Sierras. So there you go, Mr. Copper. I mean, it's so ridiculous that cannabis was so offensive to people for so long that they'll sit there and drink 6 beers in front of you. Well, I was on a Bigfoot adventure with a fellow who literally drank 30 beers across 2 nights and snubbed his nose at me every time I picked up my hash pipe. And it was just like, well, I don't really care for the drug use going on around here. It's like, oh, are we shooting up over here at the picnic table? Is that what's going on? All right, who's got the needles, man? What am I missing? You know,
it's like when you're watching a movie and a boob, you know, you're a kid and a boob shows up, and so your parents are trying to block all that. But the 16 murders,
right.
You know,
Dirty Harry blowing the head off of just 5 guys before the boobs come out wasn't a big deal. But oh, Jesus God, why didn't somebody tell me there were going to be boobs in here? Ridiculous stuff. Boobs. Well, you know, I like boobs too.
I think that's like the best Forrest Gump. I like boobs.
I like boobs.
Jay Fritz, glad to see you here. Patty Troy, glad to have you here, man.
What the hell was it? And I like Vicky Valancourt, and she likes me back, and she showed me her boobies, and I like them too. If you haven't figured out, I'm a pulp culture movie fiend. Just. I can't recall what I wanted to ask my doctor when I go there, but I can tell you lines from a movie that I haven't seen but one time in 25 years. My brain is just that IQ problem. That's one of the other things that cannabis does is for people who have a high IQ is it slows them down enough to deal with everybody else on their level. People don't realize how jumbled somebody with a really, really high IQ's brain really is, but it's a constant jump. We can't identify or concentrate on much of anything without some sort of control, whether it be coffee or cigarettes or, you know, in friggin' Freud's case, cocaine, whatever it was. You know, Freud friggin' snorted enough cocaine to kill a small horse, probably because he couldn't concentrate his brain on anything until he did. You know, Einstein couldn't wear shoes that he tied because he would tie one and he would run around and trip on the other one because he didn't have time to tie the second shoe. So they started getting him slip-ons.
Strange.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. And cannabis actually slows you down enough to let you think for a moment, take a breath before you react, because your brain is firing on 7 different things at once. Now it's just kind of like 3.5. I'm already thinking I gotta cook. It's 7:15. I gotta go. So because I gotta go cook this. I got my Carolina barbecue recipe up there. If you wanted to share that to people, they could take a look at that. But that's what the Reverend's cooking tonight.
Nice. All right.
Now this is set up for 3 to 4 servings. So a small picnic. It'd cover a good small picnic. Usually what we do is we cook the picnic down, shred it up real good, and then everybody kind of chooses how much barbecue they want to add into it.
Yeah.
The apple cider vinegar really kind of makes this good. I like using the honey versus the brown sugar, because the brown sugar tends to get kind of thick. And I like a little bit looser. I like a little bit of a looser barbecue myself. So I do like the honey in this one. Worcestershire sauce. It says 1 teaspoon. And look, if it's a little tea, it's the small one. If it's a big tea, it's the big one. Okay, that's how I rate my recipes. It says 1 teaspoon of Worcestershire, but if you're a fan like me, I do 3 in this recipe because I really like the extra little twang that fish sauce in the Worcestershire sauce gives you. And that's what it is. People don't realize that taste that they like in the Worcestershire sauce is actually fish sauce. Worcestershire sauce is a combination of like 14 other sauces. It's kind of like hoisin sauce in the Asian side. Hoisin is like 9 different sauces all put into one. It's, oyster sauce is not really oyster sauce. Oyster sauce is a combination of like 8 different things, and it doesn't taste like oysters. But I do like the Worcestershire sauce. The fish sauce in that really makes it good. The ketchup, don't be afraid to use ketchup. Nobody wants you to go out and squeeze friggin' tomatoes and mix it with vinegar, okay? They make this product of a thing called ketchup. Just be forewarned, if you use the sugarless ketchup in this for like low calorie stuff, you're gonna want to put some kind of your whatever that foofy new sweetener thing that they use as a replacement for. I can't remember the name of the stuff because I use sugar. But if you look at this only has a 1/2 teaspoon of salt in it for the entire recipe, and that serves 3 to 4 servings of barbecue. And the reason that is the reason I learned to cook was because my liver went bad and I'm on a low salt diet. And God love my wife, as hard as she tried, she couldn't make low salt food taste good. She just couldn't. We tried. Look, I got news for you. Unsalted saltines suck ass. Okay?
Yes,
they do.
Nobody wants to eat that crap, so don't give it to me. So basically, I started branching out and looking at all these recipes, going, man, that's way too much salt. You can't even taste all that salt. I mean, some of these things we're talking about, like 3 teaspoons of salt in a. I'm like, good God, who are you trying to kill? Nobody needs 3 teaspoons of salt in anything unless you're cooking for 20 people. 2,000 milligrams of salt is all you're allowed to have, as all a low salt diet is allowed to have. That's it. I mean, you eat a pudding cup, and you just had 30 milligrams of salt, man. Okay, you have a soda pop, there's 230 milligrams of salt. A little bag of chips, another 230 milligrams of salt. I mean, just eating junk food throughout the day, you're way over your salt count. Normal salt, like if you're allowed to have the amount of salt you're supposed to have, 24 to 2,600, depending on whether you're male or female. I'm sorry, biology matters, people. If you want your human being machine to run properly, biology definitely matters. Eat for a woman, eat for a man. However it is your internal parts look, eat that way. Because if you're a man and you eat like a woman, you're going to be deficient. And if you're a woman and you eat like a man, you're going to be overweight. I'm fat as hell. Don't get me wrong. Fatty likes to eat. I ain't picking on nobody fat. Okay. I've been 450 pounds at times in my life. Okay. From being injured and overeating and being unable to exercise and eating too much, eating junk food, being a lazy fat slob. I've been through all those things in my life. I actually qualified for lap band because I have been documented big, small enough times that they would do it. I don't want nobody cutting me off. I just need to eat less food, damn it. Portion control. Everybody needs to learn that real quick. Portion control in food. 4 ounces of meat, people. That's the size of a deck of cards. That's what you should be eating for dinner. If you're eating a tenderloin like me, the size of your forearm, then you're eating entirely too many calories in a day, and you're gonna be fighting yourself. Even because I don't eat junk, and I still put on weight. I don't eat cake. I don't eat ice cream. I don't eat bread. I mean, if I eat 2 biscuits when I make homemade clam chowder, it's a miracle. Bread doesn't come with dinner at all unless it's a chowder, a stew. That's it. So, but I learned to cook because I had to control my salt, and boy, she loves it. She loves all my low salt cooking now. And I also learned that you actually only retain about 80% of the salt intake that you take. So if your doctor looks at you and tells you you've got a 3,500 count of salt in your system, you've probably eaten 5,000 milligrams of salt in your day. Seriously. I mean, there is some forgiveness there. You can oversalt yourself a little bit without it being horrible, unless you're on medication like I am. Like they've got me on water pills. Water pills literally bypass your kidneys, uptake water directly out of the kidney tubes that will have direct sodium in it and flush it out of your system.
I'm also on water pills to get the sugar out. So
yep, sugars and salts are the
like,
2 worst things.
Nothing like being in a sound sleep, 1 o'clock in the morning, and you're I don't get up.
I don't have that problem anymore because what we figured out was a higher dose in the morning covers me long enough to get that 6 or 8 hour break at night. So I get up in the morning and I hammer all my pills back. Like I don't do that whole 2-3 times a day. If I'm not swelling, I ain't doing it. And literally now, like I lay down at 9-10 o'clock at night, I can sleep till about 3 or 4 in the morning. So it's something to think about. You may want to ask your doctor about it if you can adjust your medication for a bigger dose in the morning to cover you longer in a day so that you can sleep at night, because that does suck.
That's the only medication I take at night is that one. It's a calcium pill that also is a water. They added to it, but
my water pills are blood pressure pills, so my blood pressure stays at like 120/80, which is like perfect. All the old ladies that take my blood pressure every time I go in to be seen, they're like, "Oh, you have such good blood pressure." I'm like, "Yeah, the pills are a miracle, aren't they?" But I didn't have bad blood pressure before. I wasn't relatively an unhealthy person. What was happening was I exercised, I walked, I ate right, I ate keto for like 2 years, and I didn't lose a damn ounce. My clothes didn't fit any better. Matter of fact, the clothes got bigger or smaller on me. I mean, I got bigger in that time, and what was happening was I was retaining water. Didn't know it. So for probably 5, 6, 7 years, I walked around with 60, 70 pounds of water on me. And then at the pinnacle of it last year, when I went to the hospital almost dead, I had 109 pounds of water on me, because 6 weeks later, I weighed 109 pounds less. So yeah, I'm going to be raiding every pharmacy between here and the end of the world when the apocalypse comes to make sure that I got water pills. I don't think there's anything in natural that does that for us.
You still, though, I've seen video of you even when you're really heavy. I've seen you were out in the forest and you were
still doing it. Oh yeah, still doing it. I was 300 plus pounds, 100 pounds, and I was still trying. I was walking down to Bluff Creek and back. I mean, I was trying to do. Now, if they could just get my back in shape after I've lost all this weight, I'd be a lot happier man. We're working on the chiropractor right now. California, medicine in California is not medicine. It's politics, and it's hard, and all the insurance companies are in charge, and it's just terrible. But back to Bigfoot, yeah, that's what you tried to segue us back to. I'm a train wreck, brother. You got to keep me on. You got to keep me on the tracks, man, because I will run us right off the empty bridge.
You're Reverend Two-Gun Kelley, man. I brought you on here because I want you to be.
Well, the thing is I don't go into a lot of personal stuff on my show because I'm talking to myself. For the last 3-4 seasons now, I've been talking to myself. I rarely have guests on because that wasn't my shtick then. It shouldn't be my shtick now. And I don't want to get into that whole Bigfoot Chronicles thing, because anybody out here that's in this chat room that's watching Bigfoot Chronicles, I want you to understand, if you don't know who Phil Hendried is, please go to YouTube and research Phil Hendried radio show, okay? And learn about being baited into stupidity, because that's what's happening on Wes Germer's Sasquatch Chronicles show. There isn't a single thing about any of that that's real. It's the most sensationalized bullshit that has the largest following behind a paywall. I've been doing this shit for 10 years for free. I'm probably the most honest man in Bigfoot, in this length of time that you're going to find. It hasn't sold out to just try and make a penny on something. And I can't get people to give me a bucket a friggin' month on Patreon for, brand new Bigfoot campfire stories. It's if I had $1 for every single view that I got on YouTube for a Bigfoot campfire story, I'd have $4.5 million.
Yeah.
But as it is, Wes Germer gets people to spend $7.95 a month to listen to fake Bigfoot stories and fake Bigfoot guests. And if you want to challenge me on that, no, he's got real people on there too. I'm not saying that every once in a while he doesn't get somebody who thinks that they're genuine on the show. I'm just saying, as a general rule, it
was me.
Yeah. As a general rule, most of the sensational shit you hear on that show is garbage. And I have direct personal messages from Wes Germer trying to suck me in to that torn up camp and the Garrett bullshit in Texas.
Bullshit. Yeah.
I have messages that I have screenshot. They're still existing on Facebook. You can't delete them. You can block me all you want to, but you can't delete those messages, you dirty bastard. Okay, that doesn't go away. All right, I have the evidence that shows, oh, come on, man. If you just get on board, there's a lot of money to be made in it. I mean, it was just like, what the? Will Jebbing dumped him when he came out that he was a fake. Chandler LeGros, everybody that was with him, even his so-called brother, ditched his ass when his lie of a story came out in the first place. Oh, there were 5 of them commando crawling all around our Jeep on a bright lit moon night. Well, it was colder than shit and it was raining, the night that you're talking. Well, maybe it wasn't that night. Maybe it was a different night. You're like a little kid trying to say that you saw the boogeyman. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, those guys, what got me was, now look, I was on Sasquatch Chronicles because I couldn't get anybody like Cliff Brockman or I couldn't get any of them to talk to me. And so I heard an episode of, back then he was being pirated like crazy on YouTube. So I was like, hey, I think this guy's in Washington. I'm going to send him an email. Well, my email was so bad. My wife went ahead and dude, I was a mess.
It was like one solid line of crazy.
What had happened to you, what happened to us, but he reached out to me the very next day.
Oh, of course he did.
And I realized
I got a live on here, fellas.
I honestly realized that I was nothing but a show bitch. We were supposed, if you listen to that episode, he's like, yeah, we're going to go out and, we'll go have some beers and blah, blah, blah. And never spoke to him again.
Unfortunately, when I lived in Tennessee, I tried to work with Scott Carpenter. Okay. Now this was before he went on the whole, cloaking Bigfoot's following me down this pathway. Long before that. I contacted him. I was about an hour south of the Great Smoky Park where he was I knew exactly the trails he was on. I mean, I literally knew exactly where he was investigating, and I reached out to him several times like, hey man, I'm just an average footer, man. I didn't even have a show back then. I was just living in Tennessee at the time. And I was like, I'd love to get together and, maybe, do some investigation together. I can show you the things that I've learned across the country, and maybe you can clue me into what I should be looking for here in Tennessee. Because, if you listen to some of these people, they talk like that there's known trail markings for Bigfoot and known signs that Bigfoot leave. You listen to the old timers were talking about that in the 70s and 80s, but none of that information actually gets out to the public as though, that's ever been proven to actually work. Like, hey, when you find a scratch at the bottom of a tree, that would be something to look for. We know that if you walk up on a big tree and there's a scratch on it so high, that's how big the bear is that's leaving the scratch mark.
Yeah, right.
And they leave scratches up high, and cats leave them along poles, branches. is where big cats will leave them to mark their territories. But if you look at the base of a tree and find scratch marks, well, that quite possibly could be Bigfoot marker. No, but we didn't hear any of that. We just heard, well, we know what kind of trails they use. We know the markers that you use. We're real close on the capturing at least documentation of them. Now, I don't know about you. People ask me, Rev, would you kill one of them? In a fucking heartbeat. If I got a big enough gun to put that animal down safely, it's going down right in front of me. I just like Krant said, it doesn't matter if it's the last one, if it's not proven to exist. And the reason being is there isn't a facility on this planet that's going to hold that thing for me. No one's going to be able to house it alive. No one's got the facilities to keep a Bigfoot alive. Nobody knows what it eats. Nobody knows what its medical needs are. Nobody knows how depressed it's going to get in a cage.
See, if you just go to the woo side, they can tell you everything you need to know.
Dr. Johnson will tell you that they just turn into moonbeams and glide up into the trees, after he saves them from, annihilation on another planet. I just want to know, hey, are those Sasquatch paying taxes yet? I mean, they've been here a while. Are they gainfully employed? Because if not, they got to go back to their blown up ass planet. Because we don't have any freeloaders here in America. Send them to Canada next time, okay? We don't need 24,999 live beings from another planet not contributing to society. We already have enough of those.
What I'm trying to do with our show is have conversation with the guest. I will not have some guy that claims that his van broke down and he peed out the side of his door and happened to be peeing all over a Bigfoot who came into the van. And as you cry the whole
we smoked
time,
a big hooter together and we tried kumbaya and then he went home, dude.
Or I was riding my motorcycle out here and some old woman said, "Come on in the house," and here's all these little baby Sasquatches everywhere.
Hey, that sounds like a plot for a good movie, man. We
But
might get together on the script on that.
The guy says,
actually, no, that's in Dear God, No.
Yeah, I was checking out her butt because her butt and her breast looks so. I just couldn't help myself. You're talking about a 7-year-old Sasquatch that I guess is bigger than more like a young woman, and she made a big grunt at me, and and I'm just thinking. And then Wes is like, "Oh yeah, I get what you're saying, man. What the fuck is going on here?"
Oh man,
yeah. So
I love to go Bigfooting with people. I really do. Every year we hold the annual Squatchers Lounge podcast Bigfoot camp out, and we invite people in. Now the last few years with COVID and everything, it's been pretty sparse. Mm-hmm. It's pretty much been us and the Duncans. Me, my wife, and the Duncans will show up. And last year we had Ken the Viking showed up, and Brown Dwarf he showed up, and both of them had their ladies with them. Rowdy Kelley, usually if we get far enough north, he usually shows up. But this year I decided we're going to Bluff Creek. And if you've never been to Bluff Creek and you can get here for this trip, this will be the trip worth taking, because we're actually just going to stay at the Bluff Creek Resort, which is owned by the Yurok tribe. And we're gonna stay where they have RV sites, tent sites, running water, flushing shitters, a shower. The Klamath River is right there. We're going the first week of June, the 7th through the 11th. The fishing's really good that time of year, and then on the Friday of that week, we're going to take everybody up, and anybody that wants to go anyhow, up to the turnout at the Bluff Creek area. You don't have to make the hike down into the actual film site. You can see it from up above. So if you don't want to take a hard hike down, it's not even that hard. Jonathan Sasquatch skipped it the last time. I mean, he really looked like an Oompa Loompa. He was filming. He would run down past me, set up a camera, run up past me, set up a camera, and then we'd walk down past this first camera, and I'd keep walking, and then he'd run back up and get both cameras and come back down and run back down past me and set up a camera, because that's how that whole Les Stroud thing is filmed. I mean, it's all contrived. There's absolutely nothing natural to Les Stroud's.
Oh, they talked to him. They talked to him in his brain now.
Oh God, that guy. That
bye, Les Stroud. See you later.
Yeah, I know how it happened, but I digress. Let's finish the Bigfoot, the Bluff Creek thing. So anyhow, if you're able-bodied, the walk down in there isn't difficult. It really isn't. There's a trail that goes into it. We missed it, so we went through all the hard way. dumbasses, but the trail used to be marked. And somebody took down the trail marking before we got there to be a dick. So they knew I was coming too. So let's just say I might have been a on purpose thing, but I don't know. To getting down to the site really isn't a big deal, but you can see it from up above. So if you're less able-bodied, you can bring a chair, set it up on the top of the trail, and it's still a little rough to get in there because you got to go across the rock slide. So let's not think that you're going to go in with a walker, but you can sit up there and see us down, at the actual film site where the Patterson film actually happened. And we'll have some two-way radios on hand so that you can ask questions to us while we're down there. We can wave to you and show you where the patty, where the famous picture was taken. If you want us to show you Laurel and Hardy, which are the big trees that are in the back there, we can do that kind of stuff as well. And Rowdy Kelley, as long as he's not engaged with a film project, he'll be the one that'll be down there giving us the tour. So, and he's just, like I said, he's not related to me either. He's not even a real Kelley. He's an adopted Kelley, but he's just a hell of a guy. And if you get the chance to go camping out there for their annual camp out, which is usually in July, that's also a lot of big fun where they go out and they change all the cards and bring them back to camp, and they're going through them on the laptop so you can see all the animals that they caught before they put that stuff up online. But we hold the annual camp out, in the Bluff Creek Resort's where it's going to be this year. It's $25 a night for tents, and you can have like a couple of 3 tents on a site, so you can share the cost of it, or you can carpool in or whatever. And then RV sites are like $35, and they've got like full hookups, like, poopers, electric, and water. So, hell yeah, party on Wayne. That sounds like. Yeah, sounds like my place to go. We do off-grid squatching. I'll go off-grid squatching with anybody anytime they want to set up an opportunity to come here to Northern California. You just got to drive.
It sounds like fun. It really does. It sounds like it'd be.
I'd be glad to take you guys up to what we call the kill site, up there in the Sierras. But unfortunately, they've pretty much the forestry department's destroyed it. They went through there and clear cut just miles and miles around it, and all the animal activity that used to be there is pretty much gone. So all the bears are gone, all the deer are gone, all the chipmunks are gone because the trees are gone, all the birds are gone because the trees are gone. Our actual campsite still exists, but pretty much
you got to hit tune there. I'm liking that shit.
Forestry ruined my squatching zone.
So let me ask you something. So you talked a little bit about the Sierras.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything at all like what Ron Moorhead has kicked into the world 50 years ago?
No, never. Well,
why is there nothing else?
That's not true. That's not true. Now, where Ron Moorhead researched in the Sierras also burned out. It's gone now. The whole ridge burned out. We know exactly where it is now. We didn't know then because he wouldn't disclose it. But notice that since 1972, he hasn't recorded anything that sounded like his sounds ever in all the times that they've been going up there, which supposedly were multiple times a year since 1972. So I'll say that. Where we research in the Sierras is just as high of an altitude on the shy side of a mountain, in an open meadow. And there have been times when we have arrived and gotten out of the cars before we've even found a recorder to start. It literally has sounded like there were girls partying in the woods.
I like to find
no music, no none of that. Just a bunch of gibbering girls just giggling in the forest, having a good time. And then nothing. There have been times when we've arrived and shut a door and you get a, we actually had one of those on recording. Now, could be bear, lots and lots and lots of bears up there. I mean, we have to be so very careful to not call Bigfoot bear in this location because there's 8,000 bears around us. 8,000. There's more bears around us than there are in New York. Okay, seriously, I'm not kidding. I mean, that's just, there's 40,000 black bears in California. And most of them are concentrated in the area that we're in, going north up into Oregon. So, yeah, I say no in the Sierras. But yet then there's Let me see. I have this here because I had it queued up the other night. I'm blind as friggin' hell anymore, man. I can't get close enough. I can't. Oh, here it is. Here, let me play this for you. We got this. Jonathan and I actually caught this at Laos Camp in Bluff Creek. I have no idea what that is.
Wow.
You know, but it's not a normal Bigfoot sound, but every human being was accounted for. We were all within 20 yards of each other. This sound on the spectrogram can't even be seen. Okay. This was literally my buddy taking his phone and setting it on a picnic table. And the thump thump that you hear is his thumb starting the video. Okay. And then he stumbled over something. So he went back and he shut it off and he did another take. So this is just a weird little piece of footage that was taken, you know, it was an off take. He didn't even say anything that picked up the audio. It was just on a plain old cell phone microphone that just happened to be pointed in the right direction to capture that, you know, to capture that audio. I know you want to ring your bell. We got 20 more minutes, buddy. And then
if they hadn't, if the Johnson brothers hadn't wrote the first book and did their spiel before Ron Moorhead came in, and I don't know who examined his tapes at whatever point. It was like Wyoming or some college.
Yeah, but it was like 1977, and they haven't really been analyzed since, you know.
And I just listened to him on a podcast today.
Ron Moorhead?
Yeah, he was on the Bigfoot Collectors Club, and you know, he was talking about well, you know, I took it there and they said it could never be duplicated, and well, look, I put a video out just a couple months ago to show somebody was able. The guy sat there and did it.
Jonathan Sasquatch, Jonathan Easley. That's exactly who I was talking about. We did it in congruence in you know, with this particular audio. Yeah, it absolutely can be done. Okay, I take that, process it through Audacity a couple of times with some filters, and you've got the Sierra sounds.
Brian, good night, my brother. Thank you for showing up tonight.
You know, my issue was with you know, Ron Moorhead. We're like, well, Ron Moorhead didn't even record them. Al Berry did. And he was a reporter with the Sacramento Bee. And I thought to myself, like, you've never met a dickhead reporter in your life?
Yeah.
What reporter do you know of that's not a dickhead? I mean, seriously. So Ron Moorhead approached, well, you know, I got these things going on in the Sierras and I want you to come and take some recordings of. And Al Berry goes, sure, why not? Okay. Now, am I thinking that Al Berry got hoaxed? Maybe. Do I think some of it was produced in audio in a sound room? Absolutely. And the reason being is the equipment that was available in 1972 was garbage. Anything portable enough to go up on that mountaintop was reel to reel. Took 30-minute audio tapes at a time, period, and took D-cell batteries that lasted about 90 minutes. Now they talked about in the Sierra Sounds book. I'm not even going to, whatever the hell the name of it is. They talk about going in there with a donkey train.
Yeah.
And my question to Ron Moorhead has been for years: how many donkeys full of tapes and batteries did y'all take for this 7-day trip, or did you just guess on when they were going to be there to talk? Because if you only took a handful of tapes and you're only going to cover 7 hours of recording over a 7-day trip. If you recorded 24 hours of that, just 24, the only one activity started, you started the recorder, and it came up with 24 hours total out of that 7-day trip. You still need over 50 reel-to-reel tapes. And you still need 140 D-cell batteries.
And he claims he lost it all in a fire. All the original stuff.
All the originals are gone. They're all burned away. It's like the doctor that originally did my knee surgery. Yeah, we had a small fire in the office, and unfortunately your X-rays are gone. Yeah, that small fire was a trash can, wasn't it?
I asked him, I asked him personally, Rev. I said, "Well, what makes you think that was a Bigfoot?" Because there's no proof, right? So he goes, "Well, the scientists, whatever, Wyoming, and
They
this."
talked me into it.
And then I said, but what makes you think a Bigfoot did it? And then
Did you see
he
him?
said, this is his very words. He said online, he said, well, for all I know, it could have been an alien with huge feet. That's what he told me.
You know what, though? He might not be wrong.
That's the thing.
These people that are out here looking for these supernatural Bigfoot that can read minds and shoot lasers out their eyeballs and can disappear and cloak and, interdimensional portal travel, they may be there. They absolutely may be there, but they are not the Sasquatch of the Americas that we're looking for. Okay, there's something else. Am I saying that large bipedal hairy things don't come out of UFOs? Nope. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying the creature that I'm looking for is a flesh and blood biological creature here of the planet, probably a paranthropus species that there's always been besides the human species as we've come along, a large, upright, forward-hipped, hairy, pretty damn stupid ape person lived along human beings our entire existence. Why would now be any different? But for me, they're paranormal because they're not of normal. We don't really, they're not a normal thing because we haven't proven their existence, of course, but they're not supernatural.
Yeah.
Because if they could really control minds, they're not communicating with you. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. The guys that they're mind speaking with are not the guys that Sasquatch that can mind speak are going to choose to be communicating with. They're going to be communicating with people who can make them be left alone.
If we could get more people to, we're told that we don't have an open mind, and I don't understand why. I heard Ron talked about this a lot.
Blue Dream gives me an open mind. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you're talking about. I just saw him also on a show, Alaska Killer Bigfoot, as he came on and told these guys that the Bigfoot are spirits in the trees. They live in the tree. Literally, they're inside the tree. And he went on with his spiel, and he talks about this. Well, matter is life, and life is matter, and energy, and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, dude, this is not. How am I going to get kids, the next generation, to help us out?
They're doomed. No, they're doomed, man. You have to do it by hands-on stuff. You got to get kids who don't believe in Bigfoot into Bigfooting. That's the only, and a personal experience is usually the only way that most people actually take the subject seriously. But, I beg these people that go to these conferences. See, I'm blackballed from going to these conferences. They won't invite me to come on as a speaker because they're afraid of what I'm going to ask people while I'm there. Jeff Meldrum said he'll never sit a stage with me. He'll never come to an event that I've been asked to come to and be a presenter. He won't come on stage with me because he knows outright that I will do exactly what he did to Renee DeHinden. I will sit and I will interrupt his talk over and over and over again with inaccuracies, and then demand answers to shit that he needs to answer for. Like, do you or don't you support Todd Standing's videos? Are those pictures of Bigfoot? Are those videos of Bigfoot? Any of them? Are you going to ever stand behind your working with Bigfoot North, with the greatest Bigfoot hoaxer on the planet? So the arrangers of these things just know. Oh no! People ask, like, why isn't Reverend Jeff here? And oh yeah, well no, he won't do these shows. No, it's not that I won't do them. I've actually been invited and uninvited for Stacey Brown. Well, Stacey Brown Jr. Sorry, he wants to drop the junior now that his dad's dead, but. Yeah. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way.
Do you know who Brent Dill is? He does the tall ones. Now, see, he exposed somebody that was making some pretty good money on in the woo factor of this whole thing, and I don't think he could step into one of their conferences without being recognized and probably being kicked out, because all he did was he went into this. If you listen to him talk about this, he went into this with Lori Simmons as somebody he was going to work with her.
So you're talking about Adam Davis's ex-wife.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I am well aware of that whole situation.
Her. And one of the reasons why I won't follow Adam Davis for one single shit moment is until you say that was bullshit, and that was me smoking a cigarette with a sleeping bag on my head, because Brent's a pretty good sized guy, but he went and to that very picnic table, he went to that very tree, he dug around it, all that, he did everything he could do to show you this is bullshit, and you still got people going, they're still putting peanut butter jars up there. And
I literally asked Adam Davis. Okay, so Adam Davis went to Magic Johnson's site first, not the basketball player, but the
I know who
inventor.
you're talking about.
I refuse to call him a doctor because he's not. So anyhow, he was a counselor, regardless.
Yeah.
He goes out with Matthew Johnson and John, whatever the freak that guy's name is. He's not even important enough to remember. But they go up there, and they go up there for a week. Now, Adam is on the Sierra Bigfoot tour. He's got things lined up. And he just happens to have lined up next, right here, squatching with the old Revs and Justin Smeha and Nadia Moore, his current wife, in the Sierras at the kill site. So they come down off the mountain, do that whole video thing in the parking lot about, doing battle for 3 nights, with whatever the coming out of the portal was. And you could see it in his face. He didn't want to be on camera, but at the same time, he didn't want to not appease Dr. Johnson, because Adam is a sycophant. He will suck on to whatever the storyline is and wherever the location he is that he goes.
You think the guy could get a better looking hat too, right?
So I don't see that video. I'm already up on the Sierras. We're already up there a couple of days before they show up. No, I'm wrong. I lied. I didn't see that video. They were up there 2 days before we got there. We arrived, and we let them know they came down to camp. And that night, we were all sitting around. Now, mind you, this is less than a week after he's been up with Magic Johnson doing battle with little 3-foot demon portal creatures protecting Bigfoot Planet, okay? So we're sitting around the fire, and I'm talking to him about the places that he's been, and he's trying to treat me like a newbie, like somebody that doesn't know anything about Bigfoot. He doesn't know who I am. I had the podcast going on at that time. He was kind of ignorant of the whole thing, but I explained to him, I'm like, short and quick, okay? I know who the players are. Just answer the question. Does Matthew Johnson have Bigfoot at his site? 1 week after he did battle with 3-foot portal creatures coming out of
with red eyes,
right? He looks at me and says, "Well, let me say this, mate. Does Matthew Johnson have Bigfoot at his site? I would say probably yes, but I just wish somebody else was there investigating it." And that was the end of it. He passed me the bottle. I took a swig off the Irish whiskey, and I handed it back to him. He wasn't disturbed. He wasn't traumatized. He wasn't scared to be in the woods with us. Look, if Bigfoot come out of fucking portals and 3-foot demon creatures come out there to protect them, and you've come to a place that we've killed one, and you've got no fear, you've got balls of steel the size of friggin'. So long after that, he's doing the whole, agreeing with, still not denying the Magic Johnson tale of Zorth and the Bigfoot portal. I personally message him, and I'm just like, why don't you come on my show and talk about it, Adam? Come on the show and talk about what actually happened. Let's clear the air so we can clear up your conscience and your credibility. Now, mind you, he already had some woo stuff in his original book. I actually paid for a book at Amazon. I gift shipped it to him. He autographed it for me and then shipped it to me. I thought it was fantastic. And he was working for the UK mail system at the time. So, I mean, it was like perfect. He probably delivers his own mail. I don't know. But yeah, I gift shipped my Amazon purchase to him. He autographed it and sent it back to me, which was really nice of me. He's a nice guy. Okay. He is a nice guy. But the problem is he's very sycophantic. He's just able to latch on to whatever the narrative is locally at the time and just hitch his belief system to it.
I think it has a lot to do with television too, Rev.
It does, because that way he can still investigate in all the woo shows and all the anti-woo shows.
Yeah, it's weird.
The guy's an amazing adventurer. I take nothing from Adam. Adam, if you're watching this, I don't want you to I'm not talking crap about you, man. I'm really not. I'm just calling you on the table for some of the supernatural bullshit that just is against the laws of physics. That's all I'm really doing here. And I would do that to my mother if she told me that shit. So you should feel actually honored that I'm putting you on the table for it, because I don't talk shit behind people's backs. I do it right to their face.
I asked him. I asked. He's supposed to be part of this. There in Canada, somebody put up a bunch of money, and they're going to have like 4 or 5 different scientists and whatever else to go on this, which I've heard nothing else, go on these expeditions, and he's going to be a part of it. And I said, they were asking for money, and I said, well, listen, why don't you ask him to come clean about his ex-wife and his little shindig there?
Bigfoot live under the ground in the roots,
and they said, well, we've been talking to him about that. And I was like, well, that's nice, because you're asking us to go, because you have him on board, we should give you money. And I'm saying, until you come clean and say, look, Lori was a faker and a liar, because she's got $20 that I'll never get back. I bought her stupid book and then
Hey, I've been mentioning the kill site, and a lot of people out there are kind of curious about it. They're ignorant to it. Go on YouTube and just search for Dead Bigfoot. Okay, it is the story of the kill site in the Sierras, and it is as close to an honest storytelling as you can get. You're gonna think Justin is a bad man. You're gonna think that he's a villain. Unfortunately, that was just the way it was produced, because he's really a loving family man. He's one of 13 kids. I mean, he's my best friend, in the world, and has been for a long time. And that's because we grew together, and people don't grow together when they're lying to you.
Both of us thoroughly believe 100% he shot what he's talking about. He
didn't. He felt so horrible that he killed the juvenile.
Here's the thing: is you had to look in his eyes.
Yeah.
You had to see when that very first time when he first came out, and it was not tainted by politics of any kind and television and all that. The look in his eyes said he murdered something. You could see he felt he murdered.
Yes, he did, and
he
was a father at that time. He had a little baby at home. But he also had that horrible feeling that no one's going to believe him, and this needs to be known. But the other thing that people don't, that when he talks about it being a monster in the woods, you have to understand he's one of 13 kids. There's got to be 75 hunters in this family. Okay, between cousins and brothers and their families and his dad and his there's literally 75 people that buy bear licenses. In that family, every tag you can think of, they hunt for in the Sierras because they feed it to their family. Okay. When he says it's a monster in the woods and I was trying to protect my family, well, your family wasn't even there. He's like, no, but I'm not going to let this thing jump on my uncle's back next week and beat him in the head with a rock. This thing has to die. It's a monster in the woods. It shouldn't be here. We know we're not afraid of bears because we know how to treat them. We're not afraid of the mountain lions because we know how to treat them. We're not afraid of the big bucks because we know how to respect them. This thing was a monster in the freaking woods. What do? You kill monsters. And that's the only thing he could think of is literally 100 yards behind him. There's a horseshoe campsite that he and his family has slept at 100 times. His daughter in diapers in the tent with them, that these things are roaming the woods. And, that's you take it from that aspect of a hunter who's trying to protect his family from something that could very well walk up to you, rip your arms off, beat you to death with it, and there isn't much you could do about it. Because that thing took a 270 through the side cavity and ran off and lived. Well, it was never found anyhow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now we hunt with 300 Win Mags. Bump it up just a little more. But yeah, Dead Bigfoot. If you look up the movie on YouTube, the Bigfoot Report.com, I think is the name of the YouTube channel. It's long gone, but the YouTube still exists. You can actually watch it for free, and it'll tell you the whole story. Like I said, it unfortunately the production of a lot of things during that era were bad, made him not look like a terrible person. But even Dr. Sykes God rest his soul. And I don't like to speak badly about things, but I know more about the Sierra site incident than anybody else, that does podcasting does, because I've been there. I've lived it since pretty much like 2 years after the event. I've lived investigating there with that man. Why would he continue to go back, spend his money? Nobody's funding anything. We were gifted some FLIRs and a couple of recorders and some things to try and help get evidence for a very wealthy man, because we had evidence that there were Sasquatch in the area, and we were trying to help him as much as help ourselves. So, but nobody funded anything. The gas that went in the truck came out of our pockets, and we stopped at the Rileys and put our money in the grocery basket, and all the equipment was ours. And we spent hundreds of nights over the years at that location, and we've had activity. The Sierra site incident, where they have the FLIR images from it on Barcatino site, actually shows Sasquatch on FLIR 35 yards from a manned armed campsite. If those were all the people that were in the camping group were accounted for, all of them. Everybody's known where they are, and yet there are still 3 individuals lurking in the tree line looking at a camp where there are shotguns in view, because bears come down the mountain at night. That's why we have shotguns out at night, because you don't put them away. You're in the friggin' wilds of the Sierra. So yeah, you can check out those 2 things. Would be I've spent more time there pretty much than anywhere else. That's my reminder that I have to go cook, because my wife knows that I will talk forever. But there's lots of good Squatch in here still in Northern California, but we've lost a lot of territory to wildfires, and it's a shame, because that was just neglect. They've neglected the forests out here for so long that they're tinder boxes ready to friggin' ignite. There's so much decayed, destroyed, dead tree litter everywhere from the beetles, and they don't cut down those trees and take them out of there and shred them like they're supposed to and turn them into mulch, because the hippies go, I'll just leave them alone and the beetles won't spread. Well, they're worse now than they did when we were cutting them down and shredding them. So please, God help the forests, because our people are stupid. Well, they're going to stop us from fishing for salmon early this year, because we don't have enough water in our streams, but they're doubling the amount of water that they're sending to the Delta.
Okay.
So I say screw LA and let them people wait to fill their swimming pools, and let our salmon run go. And then after the salmon run, we'll send triple the water down there. Okay. But let's let the salmon live and reproduce in our rivers while we can, you dumbasses. We've had enough rain. Our reservoirs are full, but they're going to restrict flow. And it's just, I hate California.
How far are you from Eureka, Rev?
Eureka is a haul, like 7.5 hours still.
Oh, okay.
You got to remember, the coast of California is like a 14-hour drive or longer. Like, Jonathan would drive up here 8 hours. We'd get in the car and then drive another 6 hours to Bluff Creek. But yeah, I live in Northern California, so it's not horrible. I don't live in LA. That would be like a 14-hour drive.
Have you seen any porcupines? And I've been asked this throughout the show, and I'm just waiting till the end here. So now look, I actually infuriated this man so much a couple weeks ago that he put out about a 7-second video just moving his leg like this to show, because all I did was I told him, I said, I love you and appreciate you so much for your comedy. and I was like, you crazy fella. You knew that was a porcupine, yet you're telling us it's a Bigfoot. Listen, and I've heard people go, he had no idea. He really thought, no, bullshit.
Well, it depends on how high he was.
Yeah.
I mean, do I believe that Matthew Johnson sees magical Bigfoots through portals? Sure. He's got a closed brain injury. Okay. He very well could be seeing that shit. It's the sycophants that are sitting there holding on to it and feeding him that are the problem. His wife, his children, and everybody else around him that is buying into this bullshit and allowing his mental illness to thrive are abusing this man. And when he becomes 65, I hope you get arrested for elderly abuse. Yeah, took my mom to Paris. You know, she split tens.
What gets me is if I've got this big following. Okay, so I say, oh my gosh, I got a little baby Bigfoot. It's crawling up a tree. I'm filming it. So I'm gonna sit there and wait. Okay. So mom and dad's somewhere around here. So we're gonna sit here and we're gonna spend the night until the baby comes down. Mom or dad comes to pick it up. No. He has to put out 7 or 8 videos of why it's a Sasquatch baby. Not. He challenged me too. Well,
there's another one out there,
Yeah.
a baby Bigfoot in a tree. It's an older video, and it is definitely a porcupine. And it's not this one. It's by another dude, and I can't find it. There's so much bullshit about Bigfoot when you do a search now that I can't find the old bullshit that I use. So now we just got so much bullshit overall about Bigfoot that any poor bastard coming into the subject now, I hope they find the lounge, and I hope they just go through. There are 500 plus videos on my channel. Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Pacific, YouTube/S Lounge Podcast.
So let's start this over. Rev, we know that the Bigfoot lives in the woods, but where can we find you?
Me? Oh, well, yeah. Facebook is where I live. The Squatchers Lounge group, I put a post on my personal page to it. And if you're welcome to follow me personally, but I post political shit. I mean, straight up, like, be forewarned, I'm a person. If you want to follow the page, you go to the Squatchers Lounge podcast. Okay. That's just announcements about the show. If you want to talk just cryptids with me, you go to the group, Squatchers Lounge. And that's where we all kind of hang out and talk cryptids, any kind of cryptid stuff, whatever. I encourage any kind of cryptid related stuff. Memphis Black is doing some amazing wood burnings and painting, colored pencil paintings that actually are for sale. And they're all featured in the lounge right now. He's got a really cute juvenile Sasquatch little thing. It's fucking nuts. I mean, he literally goes in and hand burns them, and then he goes in and hand paints them with these colored pens or pencils. And I mean, it's amazing work. But yeah, I mean, we get, you know, a lot of people think that they can't post there. Absolutely, you can post there. Just say hi to people. Treat it like our chat. By all means, start a conversation with people. It's absolutely fine. And the more people that do that, the more of those posts actually pick up in the algorithm with Facebook. Facebook I hate it. If I could unattach myself from Facebook, I would, but I can't because my entire marketing scheme all runs through Facebook. And Bigfoot Campfire Stories is about to be a big thing again.
Well, I'm excited for that.
It's going to be called something else. I just got to get this voice to heal. As you can tell, my voice is very, very weak tonight.
Same here from the coast.
I've been sick since October, and I'm just sick of it. But yeah, you can find me on the YouTubes at S Lounge Podcast. Pretty much anywhere you search for S Lounge Podcast. I have a Twitter account, and apparently my Facebook account automatically posts to my Twitter account. So apparently I am active there. I didn't know this until somebody told me that the other day, but I at one time linked them and it still works. So hallelujah. You can find us on Twitter. The same thing, Squatchers Lounge Podcast or S Lounge Podcast. And, if you want to follow me personally to see what kind of wacky shit I get into, I post pictures of food, doggies, Don't
you have a tape you could play for us that has to do with your name?
Oh God! Well, people have been asking exactly what the Reverend Two Gun is all about, so I figured I would give you an example of it.
Let's see.
Yeah, well, a lot of folks did call him Two Gun, but that wasn't because he was sporting 2 pistols. That was because he had a dick that was so big it was longer than the barrel of that Walker Colt that he carried.
Well, I appreciate that, man.
I've got to go. I really do. We get 5 minutes. 5 minutes. We'll end it at 7:30. How about that? We'll give it a final wrap.
Well, you know what? I appreciate.
Lady
you don't know me, and you accepted the invitation, and I'd like to have you back. I mean, I'd like to have you come back kind of on a regular basis.
Oh, I'll come back anytime. I really will. I mean, especially once the voice heals and I can go longer. But yeah, I'll definitely come back. I've got lots of recipes. I mean, I actually have the Reb's Bigfoot Campfire recipe book coming.
That's
So,
awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome.
they'll probably be 10 or 20 of my favorite stews, and I'm probably one of them's gonna be a stew book, stews and chowders,
Oh, yeah.
and another one will probably be rubs and tugs.
We got one coming out. Roadkill is so delicious.
Ooh, look, I grew up eating possum, raccoon, squirrel, squirrel. You said squirrel twice. Well, it's my favorite. Rabbit. We raised rabbits right there in the hutch, and anything that wasn't pregnant
Possum?
after the spring bunch got ate. That's the way that worked. Birds, pigeons.
Rev, do you know the best way to eat a possum?
Butt first.
What is the best way to eat a possum?
I don't know.
Put one leg over this ear and one leg over this one.
Yeah, that's what I said. Butt first. Yeah, no. My Aunt Ines could roast a friggin' possum like nobody's business, man.
I don't want to eat a possum, dude.
They're not. They're greasy, but they're not. They're not yicky. They're not stringy. They're
I'll eat a
greasy.
raccoon, squirrel,
I won't eat a rat.
a puppy.
That's where I dog I've done in Korea. That's nobody wants to eat that.
I like a stuffed puppy though. It's
Horse is good. Zebra was good. Lion was really good. Serengeti lion at that. Ostrich eggs not so much, but ostrich meat. Oh yeah, ostrich meat is very good. Kangaroo. Do you know the story of kangaroo? How kangaroo got its name? So the adventurers or the explorers catch up with the Aborigines, and they keep seeing these things jumping around in this field. So they keep asking the Aborigines, "Hey man, what is that thing?" And the Aborigines just kind of shake their heads at him. And then, about a half day goes by, and finally he grabs one of the Aborigines. He says, "Hey man, what are those things jumping around out there?" He says, "Kangaroo." And the guy looked at him and says, "Oh, kangaroo. Okay, kangaroo." So we call them to this day. We call them kangaroos, but in the language, it actually means I don't understand.
That makes sense, though.
It's not true, but it sounds like a really good story, doesn't it?
Hook, line, and sinker, boys.
Oh, and with that, I think that's the note we're going to have to go out on because the wife just walked in the door. So I've got to go cook before she gives me the eyeball.
Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Seriously, send me another invitation. You got an open night. I'll be glad to come in and have another conversation with you. We can, we can be a little more specific on something if you want to next time. I don't care.
As a guest host, even you can come on as a guest host.
I'd be happy to do that too. We talk about the color of bubble gum on the street. We can make anything interesting.
Somebody else wants to say hi to you before you go.
Hello,
hello, gentlemen and lady.
Hello.
Yes, Hairy Man hoaxes and hoodwinks. You got to check out HHH and H. No, HHH and H.
HH8.
Did you think about any of that when you made that name?
Yes, of course I did.
Okay, so
you should have seen. I had some big old names in there.
Well, yeah, I can tell you that the Squatchers Lounge was probably not what I should have gone with. I mean, I love it. It's hard to spell, and it all runs together, and it doesn't look pretty on things.
I've always liked the name.
I've enjoyed it.
It's hard to get people to find the lounge when they have to search the word Squatchers.
Yeah.
So that's what it is.
There's three men. If there's three of us men doing something, are we Squatchers?
I don't know. I mean, are there such things as men anymore? Aren't we all like gender neutral? Didn't they have like the gender neutral audio awards last night or something? Make everybody cringe before I get out of here. I love you guys. Seriously. Thank you for having me. We'll come back another night.
Love it. Thank you,
Good night.
Jeff.
Thank you.
Bye.
Stick around, Nikki. Is it over?
Is it over?
Is it over? No, it's not over.
We're going to talk to Nikki here for a minute.
You're still going, but you're like at an hour and a half right now. So.
Oh, cool. That was easy. I just let him talk.
Yeah. He's pretty good about that.
So I understand that you've got something coming up with Mrs. Barbecue.
Yeah. Monda and I finally contacted her, and we set some times to get it done, have a little chit chat, and see about her side of the story.
I think that's going to be very important for the people, I did eat a porcupine once, Kaiji Ninja, and that's when the H. pylori first started giving me pain, and I was worried that it was the porcupine. So here's me in a lot of pain. Okay, I'm in a lot of pain. So I go to the doctor. I went in the emergency room. I can hardly stand. And I said, "Well, I ate a porcupine a couple of days ago," and they're giggling and they're going, "You didn't eat a quill, did you?" I was like, "I'm in pain and you're making jokes."
That's what I would have said.
So yes, I did. I did. Hey, Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks, thank you for showing up. Good to have you guys here, man. I'm so happy to have extra people that I've never met and things like that. And good to have my little sister Nikki here too, boy. You're one of my favorite people in the world. Your Spanish rice and what you're cooking videos.
That's hard to do that stuff. You
I know. I
when you
see
start
you're sweating and
balancing
shit.
and dropping shit, and I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible. Nobody's gonna watch this for sure.
Oh no, I watch
I'm a
them.
mess.
He watches them. No, I think it's worth it.
Well, I just, I needed a little extra content because I'm trying to drive some subscribers, and it's work. I don't think a lot of people realize how much work it is to get things going and work on your channel so it can be, the best it can be. You want to put out a good product. I mean, I like to say this is my hobby. This isn't my life, but it's still, you got to take a little pride in what you do, and but
Oh, you put out a great. I love your show. I love it. You do
Thanks.
such a great job. Yeah,
Thank
I
you
love
very
your
much.
games. I love that, man. And we're sitting here, and I'm like, I was like, just a British. And it was over and over. It was like, oh, I know that one. Brandy's already got it. Hurry up, man.
Well, Brandy's an anomaly. She is like quick with those fingers, man. She must be just sitting there typing, waiting, because she did a great job on that one. Oh my goodness! But
Kaiju wants to know how was the concert last night?
oh gosh, it was so good. I only posted a couple of things online, but for those who don't know, I got surprised last minute with a concert from my husband, who had bought tickets to a Kansas concert last year. But of course, because you do that, you buy them really, really early. And I actually thought, when he says, "Hey, we have an event to go to tonight," I thought, oh, was it, was something got delayed, or, the whole COVID thing pushed it back or whatever. But it wasn't. It was just a concert he had bought, and we forgot that we had bought those tickets because we had bought them so far in advance. And it's in a nice old-fashioned theater downtown, and beautiful, beautiful venue where I usually take my kids to go see musicals at this place. But we walk in, and we're kind of early. We tend to be early to wherever we go, and he just keeps walking down and walking down and walking, and I'm like, he did not. Where did he buy tickets? I'm thinking we're going to be up in the balcony somewhere. And he just kept on going, and we ended up on the 4th row center.
Wow. 4th row.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God. I don't even want to know how much you paid for these things, but at least it was last year, and that's already happened. So it was really awesome. Of course, for those of you who know Kansas, I'm sure most of you do.
Oh yeah, we grew up.
They're 70s psychedelic kind of very harmonic. I call them a rock orchestra because they have that really intense full sound.
At that time, they were one of the first groups to have a black person in their group that was prominent.
Yeah.
In the group. Lockbeard, good night. Thank you for showing up, buddy. Thank you so much. But yeah, that's Yeah,
Voila.
Kansas. I used to have their posters on my wall.
And oh man, they made playing the violin cool,
Oh yes.
because I played the violin for 19 years, and it was, it was cool to do that. So it was great. It was a good concert. Some of the
Did you
songs they were
attract a
playing
lot
were
of
obscure.
did you attract a lot of dating type of, some stud muffins playing that harmonica or what was the
The violin?
violin?
Not really. I was quite the nerd, from school. So
Come and follow
not
me.
really. The cool kids were in the band, back at band camp type of.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was an orchestra geek. So it, it still worked for me.
That's cool. That's awesome though.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
I'm just now starting the harmonica. And
Oh,
it's you know what, I'm hoping by spring that I can right now I'm playing just the hoo hoo ha ha type of stuff, but it progresses and progresses. So
hey, I come from a musical family. My dad can pick up any instrument and play. Of course, right now, because of his long haul COVID issues, he can't play his trumpet more. But he can pick up a guitar and just hear something and play it. He was in a mariachi group all his life practically,
love mariachi.
and I'm not good at anything, but I love to pick everything up. You know,
Yeah.
I'll try anything.
Well, you're a good cook and
And
you're a good host.
I mean, even for like Christmas, watch this. I'll show you. I have it right here.
Good night, Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks. Thank you for showing up tonight. Oh, is Nikki are you gonna play us something?
So for like Christmas, my family all knows I love music, so they always get me some new type of instrument to fool around with. And of course, I'm playing it backwards.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's fun. I love to
Play
do
it
that.
outside.
And then my husband ended up getting me what do they call a bowl drum? I think they're called a hand drum. And they look like this.
Wow, nice.
Kind of bad lighting, but I don't know if you guys can see
Oh, it
that.
shows you everything where you need to hit and stuff.
It's just
Lockbeard
really
says
cool.
Lockbeard says maybe you can lure a Sasquatch in with that.
Oh
That's
yeah,
really
probably
exciting.
with my flute over there. I've got a flute too that
Oh,
I
shit.
can do that.
Thank you, my eyes. I love you so much. And you
It
will be
drops.
some bait for some Sasquatch eventually.
I don't know. where the other-
Guarantee
Oh,
At the time, Jeff.
you.
anyway, it's fun for me. I have all kinds of little hobbies.
Oh, nice. Don't believe
You
her.
just catching up.
The dog goes, listen, this is the bullshit. When I pick up that harmonica, she goes,
Yeah.
I'm looking at him like, stop. I'm watching a lesson. I'm going,
You're singing her song. You're doing it right for her. Oh, my dad actually got a harmonica for Christmas, but it was us thinking about him breathing. you know. So we had an ulterior motive
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why
to
I got
help
it.
his breathing. Yeah.
And now that I've had COVID, fuck.
Everything's different.
Yes.
People can say it's whatever, you know, that it's fake or whatever, but the virus still damages you. So
Well, I was that guy a year ago. I was. I was that guy to go, oh, you're all a bunch of sheep, blah, blah, blah. Bullshit. No, that shit will fuck you up, man.
yeah, it does.
And it lingers. I mean, here we are well over a month later, and I suffer fatigue like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just be standing there working, and all of a sudden I'm like, you know, I gotta stop. And
Yeah.
it's just, you know, so
Yeah.
but we're
it
gonna
does.
go. You know what we're doing, Nikki? We're going
Hmm.
camping tomorrow.
That's what Mondo was telling me.
I'm
So you
off.
guys going far, or are you gonna just go in your
We're going up
backyard
to
there?
ours. We're going up
It's
close,
right up the road.
as close as we can get, as close as we can get to our spot. Hopefully, last year or 2 years ago, somebody went up there and jacked the gate up out of the soil, the big giant thing of concrete, just like, put it off
And
the
moved
side.
it? Oh my God.
And so I'm hoping that's what's happened because there's no snow up here now. And really want to get to that spot. But if not, we're going to go to the highest low camp there
Mm.
is.
Is it dried out or is it pretty muddy up there?
No, it's
dry right now.
dry and I was going to say dry and wet, but what the fuck would that mean? It's the roads are, you know, you got from dew and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, it's dry. And I've got a pickup truck load of kiln dried wood that we're just,
Mhm.
if too bad I can't show this to everyone. It's right over there. But she got a 3-pound tomahawk beef steak
Oh, I just
For-
saw some of those at Sam's Club. I
for
was like, holy crap.
$16. It was a
Ooh.
regular $30.
Yeah,
Oh my
you gotta
God.
grab those when you see them.
And I'm gonna cook
Yep.
this son of a bitch is it's 2 3/4 inches thick, and I'm gonna do that on the open fire like I did that tri-tip a couple days ago
Oh, nice.
while we're up in the
Nice.
mountains.
I love that chewing on that bark, you know, the
Yeah.
outside just
That's where I get that love my animal instincts. Ugh. Ow.
just get Lockbeard one of those. Arr, he'll go for it.
Well, I'm gonna get. I'm hoping that Howler, you know, Michael, my good friend Michael from California. Sure, he's from California, Canada. Hoping that he can make it down here with his family this year. And thanks, Dave, for showing up, buddy. I really appreciate your support. Looking forward to him hopefully coming down here and we'll spend a whole weekend together up there and just have some fun. He's a good guy, man. We talk a lot, and it's kind of like how I met you and a few other people too. Just start talking online. Like, you know, I remember the first time I met you, Nikki. I remember the show that you were on, and I was just like, I don't know you, but I know I like you, you know, type of thing. And I was sick, you know, and so I was just like, I was telling her, I was like, there's this nice looking lady that she's always there here recently, but she doesn't talk much. Now, you didn't talk a whole lot about anything when you were first invited on all these shows that we were on. And I was just like, she never talked.
Well, mostly people don't give me the chance, but no, I got invited on a lot because in the past, in other podcasts that I was a co-host of, and some other things I did that people don't even know about, I had a habit of saying things before thinking what I'm saying. And because I didn't care, you know, I didn't have a channel that was, you know, a growing channel that I had a bunch of stuff on. I was kind of like, what I said was just my feelings, my opinions. And if people didn't like it, fine. I'm kind of like that now too, but I'm a little more careful about where I say it.
I'm trying to learn that carefulness.
Yeah.
Damn it.
And but it's more because, you know, I don't want to offend anybody, but everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And that's kind of where, you know, things are with me, is that it's just my opinion. You can have yours. You know, I don't believe a word Justin Smeja said. How about that one? You know, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
If you and I'm sure he is a great guy, because I know a lot of people like that too, who are super great people away from the Bigfoot scene. But the minute they're in the scene, something happens.
Donald Fuller
And
says Nikki's feared by most of the YouTube community.
I am not. Y'all love me because you know I'm gonna say something stupid.
No, it's the people that are hoaxing and shit fear you because you call them out. That's what
Well,
I
there
love.
may be more of that coming. I'm debating on doing some more recent hoaxes. I've been kind of in building my channel. I've been focusing on some of the old stuff, you know, just to get used to the idea of how I'm going to run my show and content. But I have to tell y'all, people are contacting me quite a bit with information about other individuals. And it's hard because I have to learn to sift through that and say, is this enough to substantiate me coming public about these individuals? Because I'm not just talking about that individual. I'm talking about whoever they are associated with, what they're doing. Why do they have their channel? Is it just a small little channel that they're doing hokey pokey stuff on? Are they, and recently now I've learned, are they associated with bigger channels? You know, I never really thought about all that stuff. So, you know, it has made me step back and make sure that what I do put out, you know, there's enough evidence online, through the internet, through other individuals, to support whatever I'm putting out there.
I think what we do is important, Nikki, and I support you. So you and I talk all the time, and I love. Oh God, I wish I could have been on your show last week. I would have so loved being a part of that little group. Oh my God, I look. A lot of people don't like the Reverend. I love him. I love his sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
I love all that stuff. I'm not necessarily sometimes. It's like I'm not going to have Connor Flynn on my show because I'm just not going to do that. But guys like the Rev, look, he's been around a long, long time, so he's made a lot of enemies. So the enemies want to fill your ears with this bullshit, and that,
Right.
it causes a lot of problems and stuff. But I would still, for me, I say it's my show, and I'm gonna fucking do what I want to do with my show, and that's where I like what you do. Some nights you just have these fun things like with the games and stuff.
Yeah, I want to make it
I've
light.
had
You
so
know, I
much
want to
fun in
have
my life, and I'm
fun with my
literally
friends.
racing against the clock. I'm just like, God damn, fucking Brandy, man.
And I can tell from this side when I'm watching the chat going by that people are like trying to rack their brains and really are participating because, you know, they put out different names and of stuff, you know, and I'm like, oh, they're trying. They're really trying. Somebody's going to get it. And bam, you know, somebody will get something obscure I wrote. And I'm like, dang, these guys are smart. It's because we all hang out together every day, you know, 7 days a week. We all follow each other to everybody's shows.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You know, that was actually my intention with that second one with the subs. That was dedicated to the people who are always, you know, there in the chat.
Right. Yeah.
And I had 4 people text me saying, oh my God, I was on a crossword. You know, it made their day that they were on the crossword. And I mean, Wit was even like, I can't believe I was on your
That was so
crossword
much
puzzle.
fun, Nikki. That was so much fun. And I really was trying to compete too. And I'm telling her, I said, I know who that is. But I got the Mr. League because when you went 1, 2, 3, well, I know that whole song. It's
Yeah.
look at Mr. Lee,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5. Look at him jive, Mr.
Yeah.
Lee, Mr. Lee.
Lee,
Oh,
Mr.
so I was
I
like,
constantly, you guys
Lee.
have to know when I see his name that runs through my head and then I'm singing it through the whole podcast. So, um,
Hey, Lester Taylor, thank you for showing up. Thank you. But yeah, I love your show. I love Joe's show, and I hope to hell Sean comes back.
yeah,
Sean's got a
I miss.
wonderful show.
Last I had heard, he was looking for people to come on. So,
Good. Look,
I
he's
don't.
hard ass like I am.
Yeah,
Uh,
hopefully he does, and things will get back to norm.
well, look,
And
I mean, I know that I talk a lot about shit. I don't believe this, that, or anything, but I'm very good friends with all three of the Sheesh Watchers. And,
mhm.
and so I struggle with. I love them. They helped me in before Leon came along. They helped me the night I did that show.
Mhm.
Jenna Grover got inside my head. She just somehow she wiggled her way and got in my head and got me to spew a lot of things that I would never have ever told anyone.
They do that because they've
And
cornered me before too.
and so I'm very grateful to them. Do I think that remote viewing is a thing? I can't say 100%. I don't know. Otherwise,
Right. No,
you think
it's totally understandable. A lot of us come from a time where we never even thought that stuff was possible, you know? And there's been a lot of times where when in the beginning when I first had interest in this field, I was flesh and blood, bam, that's it. No portals, no spirits, no disappearing into a tree, no any of that stuff. But as I have gotten older and I've had paranormal experiences, it's there's a fine line. I still keep those two things quite separately. And sometimes, you want to have that gray area where why do the prints just get up and disappear in the middle of no walking and there's no more? Why aren't we seeing them more often? If there's a million out there, some people say there's a million out there. Why aren't we seeing them more often? They're just excellent hiders. They know how to stay away from us. They have underground shelters. Um, there's still so much unknown, and it's all speculation, and it's all fun to think about and talk about. And I'm going to continue doing it
Tristan
because
wants to know: have you ever had a possible Bigfoot encounter or experience?
no, never, never.
Well, Nikki, I hope
My
someday you can
experience
get
out
down
in the
there.
woods was I was always out there camping, okay? Camping, survival with Girl Scouts, Elks Club, the Sierras, what was it? Um, it was the Elks and then oh God, the other
Moose,
lodge. I don't know. My dad was a member of everything, and
eagles, moose.
yeah, all those. He was a member of the Knights of Columbus, and they had things all summer long. I was out there camping from one thing to another. And I know that seems like, well, I'm not a researcher. I never have been, never said I was. Okay. I just love the topic. And when I got involved, in the would have been 2009 is when I really started following stuff, and then I went overseas and then I got really into it because that's all I had to do. I had a TV with 10 channels.
So Patty Troy
So
says, "What made Nikki interested in Bigfoot then?" So it has to be your boredom being overseas, or
yeah, well, that got me into it. I've always been one of those cryptid kids who went into the library and went straight to the science fiction section. and checked out all these books, Mothman, Loch Ness Monster, Guinness Book of World Records. I would look through that thing back
Oh,
and forth 100 times
me
because
too. Oh my God.
and then I was one of the In Search of kids. I loved that. They had some really good older documentaries back then. And remember, I did a lot of reading back then because we weren't kids who just sat in front of the TV all the time. We were more the type who would go out. So I would take my book and go out and climb a tree and sit in the tree and read.
Mhm.
I thought I was
know?
the only person that ever did that. I swear to God.
I did that.
I
I
read
had
Where
a
the Red Fern Grows. I don't know if you know what that book is.
yes,
I
I do.
read that in the top of a barn. I would go to the barn every day, and then we had a big oak tree that was so big. We were on acreage at that time as a child. It was so big that you could lay on the limb comfortably without worrying about falling off. It was so big. That tree was so old and big, and I would read that book. Oh my God, that's good to know somebody else did that.
Yeah, I would get on my bike with a book and my transistor radio. I had a little orange transistor radio that had a little loop that I put on my handlebars, and I would ride to the park, and I had found a tree in the middle of the park that it was perfect, man. It just had like the branches were like steps up into the top there, and I just flopped up there, and I would stare at people walking by who never saw me up there.
That's so great.
And
That's what makes you
but
know
that was
that.
me.
Wait a minute. If I did this, and people are walking off there, what has done that to me in the forest?
Yeah,
Oh,
you could be
Kaiju wants
walking
to
right
know.
by.
Tristan wants to know: have you ever been into dinosaurs and monsters? Well,
Yes,
if we're doing Bigfoot,
absolutely.
we're definitely into monsters.
Yep, dinosaurs, obsessed. My mom used to buy me these kits so I could sit there and try to get the fossils
So
out.
lucky,
Uh-huh.
so lucky.
And yeah, monsters, like I said, the Jersey Devil, all those books. My mom was really huge into true crime stories. So she was addicted to books. So I would go with her to the library, and that's where I got, she would go straight into the crime, books, and I would go right to the sci-fi section, and I would pick out as many as I could take. And there we'd go. We would
It's
go every
funny.
week.
Before this kind of stuff, the internet and stuff, where we could do this, I can remember in the store you'd see the true crime, buy all the comic books and all that stuff. And some of the most prolific, and all they did was black out the eyes, but you would see the murdered body, and that shit would freak me the fuck out, boy. And I couldn't stop
Yeah.
reading it.
Mhm.
Or if somebody was naked, including a man, they would do that little black bar against the nipples, but
Yeah,
you'd see
you
400
knew.
or 500 stab wounds, just like,
Yeah, you got it. I have vivid memories of when my mom was reading Helter Skelter, and she didn't want me to, get it or read it or anything. But in that book, it had pictures in there. And that's what I would go do when she would go, cook or whatever. I would go look at the pictures inside her big books, and I'd be like, oh my God, no, I don't want to read that book.
Jeff Gunther says, not every experience in the wood is a Bigfoot, but Patty Troy says, what made Nikki interested in Bigfoot then? What made you interested?
Well, I came from Arizona, and there in Arizona, we had the Mogollon monster. Oops. Time to take the garbage out. And so we were always in that area. We always camped there off the rim. And I never heard anything scary. The most, and I've told this before, the most I ever ran into was a skunk, chasing after sounds. And I remember being scared to death that my mom and I would go pinon picking, and we would stay, later in the evening, right at dusk, and we would finish up our picking of pinon, and the elk would come out and start bugling, and it would just ricochet off the canyon. And that was the scariest thing I've ever experienced in my life out there. But I knew what it was. But I was like, oh my God. My mom and I look at each other and we're like, I think it's time to go. So we would gather up all our white sheets and get out of there. But I never felt like it was a Bigfoot, you know. I just the more it came up and the more you hear stories of people, in that area encountering them or running, they would run across the street, across the road, the fire roads. The more and more I got interested and the more I would go camping with my friends out there. I never did camp by myself. I will tell you that. I've
I'll never do
always
it again.
had somebody with me. So
Jeff, my buddy Jeff Gunther, who is a magnificent bastard, by the way. Did you ever see the movie War of the Gargantuas?
I think I did. I think I have. It sounds very familiar. And I have. Was it black and white or was it that Technicolor?
Jeff, it's up to you, buddy.
Yeah. I seem like I'm having a flashback of that, but
It seems like that would have been black and white.
right.
Well, when he responds, we'll talk about that.
But I did. I love all sci-fi. Even to this day, I'm still a sci-fi gal. So, and it doesn't even matter how bad it is. I still watch it.
Gargantua was the two giant Bigfoot creatures fighting. That's from Tristan, Kaiju Ninja. And Tristan, if you don't like me using your name here as a, and you just want to go straight, it was in color, made by Toho. Oh, because he's Kaiju Ninja, so he knows all those
All the
things.
Godzilla and the
Yeah,
all those.
it's
I
same
did watch.
company made
I did
Godzilla.
watch almost all of those too back in the days. So I probably have seen it, but it just hasn't stuck in my memory. But now I'm gonna have to look it up because you said that.
I've been
Remind
watching.
me.
We've been watching a lot of those. There's a thing out right now where it's all classic from the 70s and earlier.
Sasquatch Archives.
Sasquatch Archives, and I'm telling
Oh.
you what, you will spend your day
Is that
watching
Scott?
every single one of them.
What's his name?
I'm
Dang.
gonna get him on.
Help me out again. Boy, it must be late. I can't think of
remember
anybody's
what
name
the
right
name
now.
is that comes up.
I actually have it written down, but wait, is it on this one?
He's got tons of good stuff on there.
Pornhub.com, Muslims only, BigfootOnly.com, Sasquatch Archives, Todd Prescott.
Todd Prescott. I said Scott.
I'll tell you what, it's got Roger Patterson interview, Roger and Gimlin interview. He's got the interview with Albert Osman too. He owns all that stuff, but I'll tell you what, looking at all that old stuff, we need to go back a little bit and study some of this stuff and go, okay.
I agree.
We need.
That's why I did the show
better
on
idea.
Minnesota Iceman. That's why I did the show on, some of these other ones, is because some people may have run into the picture, but they don't know the story behind the picture.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not ever gonna be. Look, we got a guy coming on. He's the one that wrote the song that we open and close with, and
right.
he knows the man that shot Sasquatch. Really shot Sasquatch way back in the 60s. So I'm in conflict with another guy, Will Jevning, because he spent 2 or 3 days with the guy. He thinks he knows. This guy was his best friend. This guy was they hung out together and all that stuff. I had Bud Fight in my home. I had Bud Fight tell the story in my home where Will Jevning sat and a few other people in the group we were in at that time.
Uh-huh.
He's dead now. This story is so freaking important that we're gonna do it slowly. He's the one that wrote the music and all that stuff. We're gonna talk about Bud Fight. We're gonna talk about why he shot the Sasquatch. It didn't kill it. At least he didn't kill it immediately. And Bud Fight was also a Hell's Angel. So, but we're gonna learn a lot of truths about no. Oh, he was a enforcer and all this. We're not gonna embellish. I don't embellish anything. Nothing. And this other fellow, Will Jevning, he embellishes the fuck out of everything. So, we're gonna go with the guy that wrote this song, and how him and Bud were very, very good friends. They shot guns together. They did everything together. So this is going to be a very exciting.
Yeah, definitely sounds like it.
And then if we get Robert Michael Pyle, I'm talking to Justin right now, and I was going to surprise you with that, but I couldn't help it. I wanted to surprise you at the last second and all that stuff, but I know how much you love him.
Yeah, I'll be fangirling for sure.
Yeah, that's all right with me, man. We'll have you on and you can be our one of our guest hosts. So, and right now he's just so madly in love with his girlfriend there. He's like, well, I could do it, but my girlfriend has plans for this. Okay, dude, I know what young love is. I do. I remember it. And you don't give a shit about anything.
Well, why do you think last minute I had to cancel out on poor Joe? Joe and I have been talking about his show for yesterday, for at least 4 or 5 days, how it was going to be good and I was going to come on and this and that. And then last minute, I was like, guess what? I can't be on, but you already have Tristan coming on. So it's going to be a great show. You're going to do good.
With Tristan and Brent. And then I got to come on the after show. And that was wonderful talking to those. I haven't talked to Brent in a while. I mean, I've sent messages and stuff, but I know that he's very busy. And he's also, made it clear that he's behind on getting in touch with people and stuff. So yeah. And Tristan, I will back that kid. And I say kid, but I guess found out last night he's almost 40. God, his mom is just beautiful, and she's in her 70s. I'm just thinking, wow, this is a great group. I've met his dad. I met him, and it made an everlasting impression on me. This is a kid to me. Well, I'm 60, okay, so he's still a kid. He's worth the time, the invested time to work with him. And, that's how I feel about the whole thing. I will promote him as much. And well, look, he's going to be on Out of the Shadows.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Good
it
for
started
you.
out with me. I brought him into this, and this is what I wanted. I wanted him to get some coverage. And now this will be about the third show or fourth show he's going to be on where he was not known. And when you get on Alex's show, that's even a bigger show.
I know. He hasn't even invited me on.
That's
He came onto my show.
Yeah, that's just amazing to me. So I'm very proud of him too, because he presents his evidence as he doesn't know what it is. He's just saying, this is where I found it. Look at the size of this freaking turd. And he doesn't just have.
Oh, I saw that. I did see that because that came out right when we were driving to the venue, because I'm watching on the phone on the way, and I'm like, holy, that's
it's
a
as
big
big
crap.
around as a Coke can. All right. And then he's got,
holy crap, literally.
He's got great sounds. And I can tell you that night he's got sounds from when her and I were camping. That's when we met him.
Right.
And that's when I knew, man, he's a good guy. But he took his tape measure, took his player up there and everything and set it up. Now, her and I, we played music all night, but just on a small Bluetooth speaker.
Mhm.
And so when
He
people
makes
start,
he makes Bumping Lake sound like it's like a gold mine.
it is the
You
bullshit
know?
of all. I
I'm
mean,
like,
uh,
where is this?
yeah, I'm telling
I
you
might
what,
have to take a little trip.
this is where Shelley Covington, Montana goes. And then I go to Washington like it's a secret. Fucking there ain't no secret. Everybody in the fucking world comes here, man, to Bumping Lake. But there
Mm.
was no one else in our camp. It was just me and her and the dog. Tristan shows up during the day. We spent probably a good hour standing there talking. I think I offered him a beer and he said no and all that. But he took off up in there and everything. And so that night we have this Bluetooth speaker and we're playing because I'm trying to bring him in with music, a variety of music. And so that stuff he played from Jay's camp, which was rock camp. If it had been humans, it would have picked up our music. And so whatever's going on there is fucking amazing. I don't know what is
Mhm.
going on there.
What
But you saw the print
elevation
too,
is
right?
that at?
What's that?
What's the elevation there?
Well, I can't tell you, otherwise I have to kill you.
Mm.
No.
Well, then hold on a second, and I will tell you.
It we got to go through a hell of a snowy pass to get there. Even in July and August, there's still, as you're going through these passes, snow is still up on each side of the banks and stuff. So, and that's from where her and I come from. So Brent and is a little closer to him, and so is Steve. And so it's it God, how many elk did we see? We headed up there.
Depends.
Oh my God! Every time we turned a corner, we
Yeah.
ended up crawling in the truck because
Yeah.
there were hundreds of every time we turned around, and then you see on a side road as you were going through town, there'd be 4 or 5 elk walking up the side street. You're just like, what the hell? So yeah, it's a long trip from here, but it's worth it. We never did. We went to the lake the first year. That's when I was very sick, about a year and a half ago or whatever, and so we just kind of looked at the lake, and then we went and got a spot. But last year we got there after we both had to work, and we drove in there in the dark, and we ended up in Rock Camp. I didn't know what Rock Camp was, but that's where many a famous Shelley Covington, Montana. I held the damn game warden came in and had her card, and everything. So Shane Corson,
Mhm.
they used California Camp and that one. But meeting Tristan, he's like, oh yeah, this is one of the biggest things. And we were hoping big time, but we didn't get anything. And he says that he says, I put that way up the hill. The thing that was so funny was Mom was waiting back at the camp, wherever they're camping, right?
Mhm.
So him and his dad come the next day. So I'm standing there talking with his dad. Monda's talking with his dad. Very nice man. And Tristan goes up to get and he's like, well, we need to pick up his mom. And so here we go. It's more time. We're still talking. Me and Tristan's dad. What, like I said, he's a wonderful guy. We're just talking. He goes, he looks at his watch and goes, we really have to pick his mom up. He's like, I wonder what's going on. Tristan forgot where he put the. He couldn't find it. That is so funny, though. I mean, that's part of what people need to hear. Is we're not all perfect while we're out doing these things, man. And she did the year before we went to Bumping Lake. She put ours out, and then I was very, very, very sick, and so we needed to go home. And she came back and she goes, I can't find it. And I was like, I'll go with you. And we just searched around, and I finally found it. But one of the most beautiful things about that area is the pine cones are like 16 or 17, sometimes 18 inches long. Big, fat ones. And they burn so good. They're beautiful. I like to take them and make Christmas ornaments. Christmas ornaments, and you paint them and stuff like that. So But that is a great place. I don't know why some people think when they're talking about it, we don't have fires and we don't do this. If you don't act like it's a real camp and you're not going to get them to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I definitely have a fire. I always have a fire. They're not afraid of fire. I guarantee you from our own encounter, they're not afraid of fire. They couldn't give a shit about fire, which tells me if they're not afraid of it, if they need it, they know how to use it. I don't have
Mm-hmm.
any proof. I'm just saying they're
Yeah.
not afraid. So, which tells me they must know how to handle it.
Who knows? I don't know. I don't know about the whole fire. I do believe that they're not concerned. They've been around us so long that they know. They kind of stay their distance until we roam too far into their area, and then they let us know,
I was thinking last night, I thought about this for a long time, but when Tristan was talking about putting game cams and plot watchers and stuff in, and then Joe said, what if they're watching? And I've thought that for a long time, that they are watching. And so I thought to myself, is there a way that we can create a distraction with bring 2 or 3 people over to run off and do a bunch of shit, make a bunch of noise, let them watch, put up a plot watcher, or as quickly as you can to see, try not to wear anything conspicuous, make it look like you got to go to the bathroom or something,
right?
And I mean, I think that that'd be the way to do it, because I do kind of believe that they're watching us as soon as we get there.
Most likely. Most likely. I mean, it only makes sense that their little sentry units are out there keeping the rest of the group safe, And I've never been a big one thinking that they have a huge tribe out there, that their family units are more like 3 to 5 maybe at the most. And I also think that at a certain age, they kick out the males to go do their own thing. I mean, it only makes sense. If they want to further their species, they've got to roam. Hence, you would have some of those rogue Bigfoots who are maybe nasty. And then maybe you got some that aren't nasty and who are, gentle giants. I don't know. Because you
Yeah.
hear such a wide variety in encounters of they showed their teeth to me. They threw a rock at me. Oh, they just looked at me and walked away. I didn't feel any kind of threat or anything. So that it was just an amazing, kind of encounter. Can't
Oh, I
wait to
love
see him
that shit.
again. You know, we have too many from all aspects of the spectrum. So they're just like us. They've got some with bad attitudes and they've got some who are sweet as pie, maybe. I don't know.
I just started singing that song. It always feels like somebody's watching me. Or I say, somebody's squatching me.
Yeah. Yep.
You just put squatch in the words of everything, and you could do
You can.
Dance Fever all night, man. You could
Oh,
just
for sure.
play some music trivia, it's fun.
Now you're making me think.
You got the squatch fever.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Probably still get dinged for playing that crap.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna have to call this a night.
Yeah.
I love you, Nikki, and thank you so much for
Thanks.
coming on. You're like the second guest tonight. That's awesome because I love talking to you anyway. So no, I do. So you have a show coming up with my wife that's going to be pre-recorded, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that too. Gonna reach out and we're gonna find out what it was like for a wife to experience what her husband went through. So, and I think that is extremely important that your spouse tells. This is, I think, should be written down. So as part of information, what it was like and what it's been like
Right.
since then. I think that is extremely important. So I appreciate that. And to the chat tonight, God, you guys you're amazing, and I thank you so much for being here. And we're gonna no after show. We're just gonna we're out. So I love you, Nikki, and thank you so
Watch
much.
Harry Man Hoaxes and Hoodwinks every Sunday, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time.
She's never had a bad show, so I would like to say Harry Man Hoodwinks, and I tell my friends at work also. I said you've got to watch her. Because she plays games too, and I love that. I love it. So
Yep, we're gonna start. I'm working on a bunch of different stuff right now.
so we're
So
talking
we'll see
about
what's gonna happen.
doing a Wheel of Fortune one night.
Ooh, interesting.
Do some Sasquatch Wheel of Fortune just for fun.
Yeah.
And we'll have you on, of course, if we're gonna do. You'll be a lovely Nikki. You know.
I can do that.
Is there an end?
Yeah.
So good night. Peace
Good
out,
night, everybody.
Thanks for watching.
Night, guys.
Bigfoot, nobody loves you. Hell, nobody even likes you. It is because you are of a lower class. If this is you in your picture, okay, you do look a little bit tough. But I know an old boy from Yakov makes you look like a powder puff. We can fight tonight at my house if you think you're man enough. But $100 says you don't show up.